Hello programmers, Dan McElroy here with a discussion on how to use a text file for a list of restaurant menu items instead of providing the menu inside the program's code itself. Falafel was a good project to study the switch, case, and loop structures, but would require a programmer to update the code anytime the menu needed updating. I wanted a new program that uses a text file to contain the menu items instead of placing them in the code. The text file can just be edited without requiring a programmer to update the menu. When I started out designing the new project, I laid out the text file that would hold the menu. I didn't even think about writing any code. The original falafel project started out with only 3 items: falafel, soda, and extra, and only needed a single character input to make that selection. I wanted more items for the new program, but discovered that using a single character such as C wouldn't do for selecting cheeseburger, chicken sandwich, or coffee. So I decided on using 2 characters for the selection. I organized the menu.txt file into 3 fields: item ID, price, and description. I didn't want the price to be the last field because items in the description field have different lengths. Then I thought, why not have multiple menus, such as breakfast, lunch, or dinner? I added the name of a menu, followed by items on the menu. To make it easy for the program to identify individual menus, a hash mark is placed as the first character for each menu name. When the program first starts, it should read the menu.txt file and let the user choose which menu to load by looking for lines that start with the hash mark. And then I added a line to let the user define the tax rate, and more lines for a welcome message to be displayed when the program first starts, and even more lines for comments that start with a // I figured I needed to stop somewhere, so I didn't add anything else to the menu.txt file. Here is the menu.txt file that I am providing with the project. It has comments, tax rate, a welcome message, a breakfast menu, and a lunch menu. There is another text file for the project named menulogfile.txt. A record including date and time is saved in menulogfile.txt for each event, such as an item selection, a completed transaction that shows amount paid and change, or if a transaction was canceled, and other events. Menulogfile.txt is automatically created if it does not exist. The log file can be used to review transactions in case of questions. One of my kids got their first job at McDonald's and was wondering how much a large order would cost, so he entered something like 500 Big Macs, 300 fries, 280 Cokes, and said, "Wow!" then pressed cancel. He tried this with several more combinations. A little later, he got called into the office and the manager asked, "Do you like working at McDonald's?" then told him to stop messing around with the register. When he got his first McDonald's paycheck, he went to the ATM at the bank, entered a deposit of $1 million, and pressed cancel. The bank called and asked if he liked having a checking account. When he said yes, he was told to stop messing around with the ATM. I wonder how they knew it was him. Here is a sample run of the program. The user is asked to select either the breakfast or lunch menu when the program first starts. When lunch is selected, the lunch menu is displayed. The customer then selects a cheeseburger, fries, and soda. The subtotal is $9.17 and a payment of $10 is made. Change is computed for 83 cents. The transaction ends and the program is ready for another customer. The lunch menu is displayed again for the next customer. The second customer selects a chicken sandwich, enters CO for coffee, but this is not an available menu code. The message, "Item not found, try again," is displayed, and the customer enters CF for coffee. The subtotal of $5.18 is displayed, but the customer only provides $4. The program then displays, "A total payment of $5.18 is needed." When $5.18 is entered, the message, "Thank you, your order is complete," is displayed. The transaction ends and the program is ready for another customer. I am providing working code in C and C++ for most of the program. Code is saved for the C language version of the program with file names ending in .c or .h. Code is saved for the C++ version of the program with file names ending in .cpp or .hpp. Main.c or main.cpp contains the top-level logic. Menu.c or .cpp contains functions or methods used by main for running the program. MenuItem.cpp only exists in the C++ version. MenuSystem.c or .cpp has code that does a lot of the work requested by main. MenuLog.c or .cpp creates and writes data to MenuLogFile.txt. Refer to the Program Logic Manual, or PLM, for more detailed description of the code. The file that contains int main is named main.c or main.cpp for ease of use with onlinegdb.com and contains the top-level logic for the program. It calls the menu selection function or method to read the menu.txt control file, build a list of menus from the file, and have the user select one of the menus. It calls the search menu list function or method in a loop to let the customer select menu items, enter a payment, cancel a transaction, or exit the program. Each menu item is stored in a record with 4 fields. The C language is using a struct statement to define a structured record with a type def so that it can be treated as a data type like integers, double, character, etc. The C language is using character arrays to hold C strings. The C++ language is using a class definition and C++ strings. The structure for a single menu item has 4 data elements. Item ID field holds the 2-character code stored as a C string or C++ string. Price as a double holds the price. Item name holds the name of the item. Items this sale as an integer keeps count of each item sold during a transaction. The items this sale counter is reset to 0 at the start of a new transaction and is displayed as part of the menu if the user enters a question mark. Now that the structure for an individual menu item is defined, an array named MenuList can be declared by MenuItem, MenuList, open square bracket, max underscore items, close square bracket, semicolon. MenuItem is the data type and MenuList is the name of the array. This is similar to declaring an array of integers named scores, where int is the data type and scores is the name of the array. Int scores, open square bracket, 20, close square bracket, semicolon. MenuList can be loaded from the menu.txt file and searched when the customer enters an item ID code. If the customer enters TE to purchase a tea, the MenuList array is searched. If TE is found, then the item name and price are displayed, and the items the sale counter is incremented, and the subtotal is computed. If the customer enters a code that is not in the MenuList array, then the item not found, try again message is displayed. Additional documents are provided. The Program Logic Manual, also known as the PLM, Engineering Change Order, known as the ECO. The Engineering Change Request, also known as the ECR. The Program Logic Manual documents the internal and external workings of the project. This document should help you understand more about the project and give you an idea of where to look to complete the required upgrades to the project. You're being asked to implement several more features to the program. These additional features are described in engineering change orders. These documents need completed and submitted as part of your assignment. As an industry, before even starting on additional features, a determination needs to be done to see if enhancements or updates are even worth doing before any work is started. You are also asked to estimate time and identify what needs to be done for these proposed features, but not to implement them. These proposed features are described in an engineering change request. These documents also need completed and submitted as part of your assignment. A fourth document named the User's Manual is not provided. It would contain information about working the program and editing the menu.txt file. Many times in industry, a technical writer would be assigned to create these documents. If you have decent writing skills, you may want to consider being a tech writer. Code needs to be updated to verify the user inputs a valid number for the menu selection. For example, the only valid inputs are a 1 or a 2 if there are two menus in menu.txt. Instead of ending or crashing the program, code needs to be written to display a message that the input is illegal and then loop until a valid number is provided. Constants max_menus and max_items define array sizes. Code needs to be updated to prevent an array overrun by these two conditions. 1. The maximum number of menus defined by max menus has been exceeded. The easy way to test that the update works is to set the constant max_menus to a 1 and leave two menus in menu.txt. 2. The maximum number of items in a menu has exceeded max items. The easy way to test that the update works is to set the constant max_items to a 2 and leave more than 2 items in menu.txt. If an error occurs, a message needs to be displayed on the console and the program needs to exit with the error code of -1 instead of causing a buffer overrun and crashing. Don't forget to set max_menus and max_items back to their original values. 1. Read the tax from the menu control file. 2. Compute tax, total, and change. 3. Display subtotal, tax, total, payment, and change. 4. Put the subtotal, tax, total, payment, and change in the log file. For full credit, read the tax rate from menu.txt instead of using a tax rate of 7.5% coded in the program. At the end of each transaction, display an itemized receipt with a box around it that shows the number of each individual item purchased, the total number of items sold, the subtotal, tax, and the amount the customer paid and change if any. Draw a box around the receipt. Hint: review the display menu method. Entering a question mark after items have been purchased, the menu displays the count of how many of each item was purchased as well as the price and description of each item. Comments can be placed in the menu.txt file. Comments are started with a // Update the code to ignore anything on the line from a // until the end of the line. MenuLog.c and MenuLog.cpp already have code to display a message if the program is not able to open MenuLogFile.txt. Add additional code to display a message if a write attempt to MenuLogFile.txt failed. This can be tested by setting permissions on MenuLogFile.txt to read only. MenuLogFile.txt must already exist. Now come the engineering requests. You do not need to update the code for the menu project for the ECRs. You are only asked to identify areas of code that would need updating, estimate a time that would be required, and a way to test that the updates work. Here is the first ECR. An entire transaction can be canceled by entering a single C. Develop a plan and estimated time to complete for a way that the user can cancel an individual item that was ordered. For example, if the user selects HB for hamburger, fries, and soda, then decides that a cheeseburger was really wanted instead of a hamburger, what can be done to the program to allow just the hamburger to be canceled without canceling the fries or the soda? Here's the second ECR. C++ has a class and C has a structured record named menu item that has an integer to hold the count for items this sale. Develop a plan and estimated time to keep track of the total item count for multiple transactions for each item. For example, during the first transaction, 3 hamburgers were sold and paid for. During the second transaction, 4 hamburgers were sold and paid for. During the third transaction, 2 hamburgers were sold and paid for. A total of 9 hamburgers were sold in 3 transactions. And now the third ECR. A welcome message is available in menu.txt, located before the text and any menus. Develop a plan and estimated time to read this message into either an array of strings or a double-dimensioned array of char, and display the welcome message at the beginning of each transaction before the menu is displayed. The welcome message has additional information besides the welcome, such as keystrokes to display the menu, cancel a transaction, or exit the menu program. Finally, the last ECR for the project. The menu.txt file can be translated into different languages. Here is an example of menu.txt translated into Spanish using Google Translate. Unfortunately, the version of C++ I am using only accepts the ASCII character set and does not allow accented characters such as A, E, I, O, U. These characters needed to have their accents removed. However, the program is currently written to display several prompt and status messages in English as part of cout and printf statements, even if the menu.txt file is in a different language. Develop a plan and estimated time so that these messages could be placed in a separate file and have the program find the appropriate message and display them as part of the cout and printf statements. I hope you find this discussion on the menu project both interesting and informative. I am positive that you will see the information contained here in your future endeavors, not only in programming, but in many other aspects of your professional life. See you next time. Dan Dolph, signing off for now.